You may have heard in churches that supposedly Jesus or God did certain events or said certain things or spoke the way he did because it was a certain specific timing for that manner. That is a lie from the devil. The devil would have you believe that Jesus only did certain things for a certain time and he can only speak to people like he used to for a certain time, but now he can only speak to us through the Bible and through the scriptures only, limiting the Bible, limiting God himself and his spirit, which is an absolute spit in the face to Jesus. And I'm going to read what I have written down here on this piece of paper, why it is against God. They say you won't know who God was without the Bible is a lie, and here's why. God revealed himself to Abraham saying, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land that I will show you." He did not need scripture to know if this was God or not, because they didn't have paper like that back then. The only thing that they could do to talk to people is in stone, I believe, but I'm going to continue. He knew in himself that the voice like that is not of human origin, but was of spirit origin, not of this world. And fast track to the New Testament. On the road to Damascus, Saul was imprisoning the early church that followed the ways of Jesus and his teachings, because he thought, like the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, that Jesus did not keep the law or follow the scriptures. Even though Jesus said, "I have not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill them." But while on the road there, the light from heaven went to Saul. He fell down, and the thunderous voice spoke to him, saying, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" And Saul replied, "Who are you, Lord?" said Saul, because what he was witnessing and hearing was of spirit and of truth, and of the glory of God, not of this world. But the voice of heaven replied, "I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do." At that moment, Saul did not need scripture to know if that was from God or not, because next he became blind, but received sight again 3 days later by a disciple of Jesus named Ananias, who followed and listened to the Spirit of God. In the present day, people say remarks like, "Jesus spoke like he did for that time," "Jesus did miracles or did things like that for that time only," or "We wouldn't know who Jesus was or God was without the Bible," or "We wouldn't know about Jesus without the scriptures." While the evidence in scripture may sound true, but all that I explained here in writing and in this video, you guys, proves that Jesus in spirit and in truth is not limited by time changes or culture changes or technology advances. God is spirit and will speak and reveal himself to those who are willing to go to him. The reason that there are some things that God does not do anymore that is written in the Bible is because the world rejects him anyway and will find themselves in hell. Also, everything is very mainstreamed. Almost everything on earth is imaged in photograph or video, meaning that if somebody wanted to look up something about God, then they most likely could see what's going on with the spirit. But anyways, but in the very end of the age, his wrath will not be limited by this. But what I was saying beforehand, he will not force his hand knowing to others because he wants you, yes, you, to willingly go to him. We must know our God, how the prophets of old and the early disciples knew and pursued him. Sometimes God, without asking, will speak to you, but what will you, Sometimes God will, without asking you, will speak to you, but what will you do after that? Listen to his voice or reject his voice? The choice is yours if you are to listen or to not listen. May Jesus Christ bless you guys.